Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the last film I'm reviewing this week is called Leaves of Grass, and this stars one of the great actors of his time, in my opinion, Edward Norton. Edward Norton gave one of the most passionate performances in the history of cinema with American History X back in 1998, and here he really takes a big risk and a bold effort, and I thought that's what he always should do, as he just plays twin brothers, and he just pulls it off. Now, it's one of the most intelligent and poetic films I think that Norton has ever done, and one of the more intelligent films I've seen in quite some time in terms of what it was trying to get across in terms of the telling that poetic kind of story. And I guess you just can't believe the luck of what goes on in this film as it unfolds. Now, I guess you could say there's a mind behind it, but it's sort of an invention, I guess you could say, of obviousness, an invention of obviousness with more imagination to it, I guess is the proper term. Now, I didn't know anything about this film going into it. I just knew Edward Norton played a dual role. We've seen many people try that before. It doesn't always work necessarily. I think Eddie Murphy, in my opinion, say what you want about him now, succeeded the best with it in the Nutty Professor films. But yeah, that's a comedy. I know it's kind of night and day from this film. But, again, now, what I do know, however, is that I read the actor Tim Blake Nelson, very good actor himself, has actually written and directed 3 really good films, that being Eye of God, the very underrated O from 2001, and The Gray Zone. Now, they all deal with important questions about certain things, aspects of redemption, religion, and all that sort of stuff, and they really don't take it to the level where it's offensive. They also even talk about the Holocaust and whatnot. Now, the way Edward Norton has always handled his career, he's always agreed to be in films that he wants. Like, he doesn't want to be in films that he would not respect himself afterwards for doing. What about Death to Smoochie there, Edward? Anyway, Edward Norton has seldom done a bad film, I would say. But this film, like I say, opens with Norton as a philosopher. He goes by the name of Bill Kincaid, and he's giving a lecture about Socrates and yada yada yada. Now, the way that he writes this character is that the lecture is just not a dumb soundbite written from a textbook. What I love about Norton's character here is that he makes a point with just this one scene, and that is what makes this film so interesting and in his performance. Now, I do think back how it's quite a way to open the film, as it's set in, like, I guess you could say, a drug culture of Oklahoma, which I didn't realize had such a big drug culture until I watched this movie. Now, what he does here is that he all of a sudden gets a realization that the world around him is kind of, like you say, betraying him in a way. But now this is where the movie takes its turn. His twin brother Brady is dead. He finds out he has long since severed his old family ties, but then he flies home to the funeral. But he goes there with his twin's best friend. But as it turns out, Brady's not dead. The story was actually, get this, designed to lure him back to home for 2 purposes. One, to force him to see his mother, and she's a 1960s pothead, played very well in a different kind of performance from Susan Sarandon. And the other is to, I guess you could say, act as his double, get this, to establish his alibi while Brady goes up to Tulsa for a meeting with the region's dominant marijuana dealer, Tug Rothenbaum, played very well in a more evil performance than we're used to seeing from this man, Richard Dreyfuss. Now, I will abandon the whole synopsis and consider the pleasures of this film. Now, the dual performance by Norton is just flawless. He is just such, as a person, Edward Norton as a person, he's just so intellectual. He's very smart, and I love the way how he just balances these characters. Now, the character of Brady is what you would call a typical dramatic, hypnotic pothead. He's not played like James Franco, say, on Pineapple Express, which works, but for a comedy. But this film has dark comedic tones to it, especially in the character of that. Norton doesn't go over the top with it. He gives it that subtleness, that eased energy, I guess you could say it has. It has energy, but it's eased. The volume's low. Kind of like a rock ballad, I guess you could say, by Poison or something like that, for lack of a better term. But either way, another thing that this film has, it has its views on certain things in society, like I mentioned earlier. And what I like what Tim Blake Nelson does here in the writing is that he really doesn't insult our intelligence with it. It's not condescending. The material is not condescending, despite the issues that are being tackled in this film amongst its characters. I loved all the actors, and I also loved Kerry Russell here, who plays an English teacher and poet who is very intriguing to the character of Billy. And again, I just think that this film has something to offer in terms of provoking thought. Leaves of Grass is one of those movies that, you know, it's not for all tastes like some of the films I've reviewed, you know, ever. But it's one of those movies that will leave you thinking and leave you talking for a while. So I give Leaves of Grass, that's right folks, perfect 5, and a wonderful performance by Edward Norton.